characteristics of a city that for me creates a very close and deep friendship with the city is one where it continuously evolves just as I do. The continuous evolution of my life being from, let's say, a student, a child, and the interaction that I would have with the city as I am a child, to a young adult, to an adult, to like in old age, where at every stage of my development through my life, the city is helping to support my life. I think some of the lovely characteristics that you find in the urban form is, for example, something really small, like a bench every 100, 200 meters when you're walking down the street. For me, that's not important. But for my grandparents, it would be, where maybe they can't walk so far, they need to take a step, take a break, sit down and relax, and then get up and then do the same thing again. So it makes it accessible and easy for somebody to move around in the city. And that's one of the things that I would say definitely makes it much more friendlier. Yeah, because that's where you stop, you're thinking, you might pick out something from your bag, you've got a few minutes to stop, and that's where you probably eat something, put it in the dustbin or whatever else. There are moments where the city captures your activity. And if it's at the right time in the right place that something is available, that's perfect. Serendipity is unplanned. Sometimes the fact that something occurs in your life, you didn't know that it was going to happen, often works out for the better because you didn't know that it even existed. And sometimes innovation occurs in that sort of way. When you're inventing something, you come about, some natural consequence. You then wonder about it, and then you think, how can this one thing and another thing come together? And it just happens by chance. You had no idea that it was going to be there, and as a result of it, another outcome, unplanned, occurs. So serendipity is where it's not planned, but opens up the space for much more creativity in a city. Cities can actually open up spaces to the public, make them transparent, make them accessible. If it's not accessible, you're not going to go there. If it's not easy for you to get there, you're not going to go. If it's not cheap for you to get there, you're also not going to go. If it's not covered in an environmentally friendly place or a climatically friendly place for you to go and visit, you're probably not going to visit. So what cities can do is actually start engaging the public in particular places and giving them challenges or tasks to do whilst they're there. You're a citizen. We want to know how to improve the health of people inside the city. Have that as spaces within the city open to these questions for citizens to answer. And the citizens then come in and engage with the city mayors and planners to answer these questions and help answer these questions. And that could be a whole variety of engagement plans. It could just be answering a question. It could actually be coming to design something. There could be co-hosted, facilitated workshops, focus groups, a whole range of things, from just answering a question to actually coming and physically getting involved. And there are great examples of this. La Ciudad Verde, in places in South America where people actually engage, like the public engage with activities. They wanted to have bicycle lanes. So the government offered, they don't have the manpower, the government offered the resources. La Ciudad Verde, which is the foundation in the center, took the resources, made it available to the public. People from the streets came and said, we want bicycle lanes. Here are the resources. Go and use them. These are the designs that we would like you to follow. Fine. People go and paint them. You've now got bicycle lanes designed by the people, utilizing the government's resources, and the government's made it available through mediums like the La Ciudad Verde. And that's what I see is a quite natural serendipitous process where people are taking engagement seriously. So Palo Alto has created an app which maps out the engagement of the resident by them actually bringing to attention to the government what is happening inside the city, and especially if it's something's going wrong. Let's say there's a lot of rubbish that has been left out on the street, and you're walking down the street and as a citizen you realize that there's something wrong in the city, there's rubbish on the floor. You can take a photograph with the app, upload it to the government then puts a tag on the reference of the photograph, and then as a citizen I can map out exactly where the process of that rubbish being collected from the street and cleaned up actually exists on the map. So as a result of that, over 2,000 of these mini projects, where the citizens have engaged by taking photographs of the urban environment. Maybe a drain is blocked, they've taken a photograph, uploaded it. The government then sends people out to unblock the drain. When it's fixed, they'll then take a photograph and say it's fixed. And then the citizen who first uploaded the photograph would then have an example of something that has been completed. The whole process is transparent and you can follow it. So you know that, something that I took a photograph of has had an impact on the city. I think Austria is a really good example of innovation taking place in cities, where people are challenging the way that cities can be. I think the youth are disenfranchised in some ways because they want great opportunities for themselves, so they're attracted to go to places like Vienna, but not really to stay in places like Klagenfurt. And this is where I think there is a huge opportunity in Austria to try and bring these kind of public engagement type projects to citizens, the younger generations, because there is a larger growing population, the aging population in cities in Vienna and other cities around Austria, where it is a chance for Austria to really map out what the youth can do for cities, for themselves in the future. And this is where there is a lot of scope, there is a lot of engagement, there are a lot of ideas and much creativity that still needs to exist. I think what has been done so far is already best practice. There are so many examples in Austria that show that there are really good transport systems, like the one in Vienna, where people pay a certain amount and it's very cheap. It's like €1 a day. Not many places in the world can you just pay €1 and can get from wherever you want pretty much all day long. And that is an amazing example of how to make a city accessible and cheaper to survive in. And I think as cities become larger and they're much more economically viable, these are some of the examples that we can actually take away from Austria.